Hi! Today we will explain the storyline of the movie Thanksgiving, which was released in 2023. Okay, let's get right to the story. On Thanksgiving night, a sheriff named Eric has dinner with the prominent Thomas Wright family. Present at the gathering are Amanda, her husband Mitch, Kathleen, and Thomas's daughter Jessica, or Jess. Thomas is the owner of a RightMart grocery store on Thanksgiving night. Mitch has to work the night shift at RightMart, which is holding a Black Friday sale. When he arrives, the crowd is pushing and shoving, eager to get inside. After dinner with the family, Jess and her boyfriend, a football star named Bobby, went out with their friends, Scuba, Evan, Gabby, and Yulia. On the way, Evan says he needs to buy a new phone, and coincidentally, their car is stuck in traffic in front of RightMart. Despite his friends complaining that the store looks very crowded, Evan insists he needs the phone for sending messages, so he immediately turns into the RightMart parking lot. Shortly after, Amanda arrived with a snack for Mitch, accompanied by Eric, who claimed he had been instructed to handle crowd control at the store. In the queue, Ryan, a young man who secretly liked Jess, greeted her. Ryan tried to strike up a conversation with Jess, but Bobby stopped him, and Ryan could only hide his disappointment as Bobby took Jess away. Without Mitch knowing, Jess invites her friends to enter through the employee entrance. A resident who was waiting in line becomes angry upon seeing Evan and his friends shopping first, demanding that the visitors be allowed to enter immediately. Mitch becomes worried and orders his subordinate, Doug, to lock the store doors from the inside. Eric helped calm them down, but a provocateur grabbed the megaphone and announced that the store was open, causing the visitors from the back to push forward, breaking the fence that was holding them back. The crowd was uncontrollable. They banged on the store door. At that moment, Amanda, Jess, and their panicked friends saw the situation outside and told Doug to open the door immediately. Doug, who was also panicking, finally took the padlock, but had trouble finding the right key. In the end, the glass door of the store could no longer withstand the pounding of the people outside and began to crack. Within seconds, the glass door shattered and the visitors brutally rushed in. They completely disregarded each other's safety, pushing, stepping on, and even hitting one another to get to the desired items first. As a result, one by one, people died on the spot, with Doug and Amanda being the first to die, while Bobby's arm was broken after being stepped on by other shoppers. In the emergency situation, Eric fired a shot into the air to stop everyone. The riot remained headline news on TV for a year afterward, especially on Thanksgiving Day. Residents protested to have Black Friday canceled this year in honor of the victims from the previous year. And one of those supporting the protest was Mitch, whose wife had died that night. He condemned Thomas, whom he believed was partly responsible for Amanda's death, for only hiring 2 security guards that night. The same news broadcast reported that Bobby's career was over and he had not been heard from since the accident, while a lawsuit against RightMart had been filed. But strangely, the CCTV cameras that night were not working. Mitch confidently stated that the cameras were working fine when he arrived. Elsewhere, Eric entered Lizzie's diner with his colleague, LaBelle. Lizzie gave him a mask of John Carver, the first governor of the new Plymouth colony. The mask had become an icon in Plymouth, and many people would wear it during Thanksgiving. A short while later, Jess spends her day off with Gabby and Evan. Here, Kathleen and Jess's father, Thomas, also drop by to prepare for the RightMart commercial shoot. While Kathleen is making small talk with Eric, Thomas calls Eric over to show him a replica of John Carver's house that has been vandalized with the words "Fight Mart" written on the wall, and not only that, but the decorative axe on the wall has also been taken. Meanwhile, Ryan is happy because Jess invited him to the parade and dinner with her family for Thanksgiving. On the same day, a social media account named the John Carver tags Jess and her friends in a photo of a table set with a full spread, and they are all confused as to why they were tagged. Shortly after Ryan arrived at the shop, Jess's friends pretended to greet him warmly because they didn't get along well with Ryan, but Jess felt Ryan was kind and reliable. At midnight, Lizzie was getting ready to close the shop when suddenly, a mysterious man attacked her from behind, wearing a John Carver mask and carrying a freshly sharpened axe. Lizzie screamed in panic and tried to escape, but the man was strong and quickly overpowered her. Lizzie then looked for a safe place to call for help, but she had trouble unlocking her phone. She checked the CCTV monitor to make sure the man had left, and after feeling safe, Lizzie exited through the back door toward her car. Unfortunately, the car keys had also been taken by the mysterious man, and at that moment the car sped forward and struck Lizzie, splitting her body in two. The next morning, half of the woman's body was found hanging from the roof of RightMart. Meanwhile, John Carver's account tagged Jess and her friends again, containing photos of the corpse. Jess checked yesterday's photo tags and found that their names were written as invitations on the dining table. They all suddenly felt in danger. Eric and LaBelle were immediately called to investigate the case. The coroner found a piece of broken brick at the crime scene. Following the incident, the local government imposed a curfew. But Thomas insisted that RightMart remain open. He called Jess to tell her to go to the police station to help identify who might be disguised as the killer. Before Jess left, Eric told her to share any information she had that could help the investigation. Outside, Bobby was waiting for her. He claimed he had only gone out that day to help his uncle with work, but Jess responded casually. She admitted she was still upset that Bobby had cut off all contact with her. However, after this meeting, they reconciled. Jess then revealed that she was keeping a secret related to the tragedy at RightMart. Kathleen had panicked after the incident and was deeply worried that RightMart would be sued and tarnished. So she secretly deleted all the recordings and asked Jess not to tell anyone. Jess thought that this action might be related to the killer's motive, and she felt that there was something she could do to find out the truth. She said that there was a backup system in her father's study at home, which stored data from the past year, and she intended to check it secretly. That night, the masked killer struck again, this time targeting one of the security guards on duty at RightMart. That evening, named Manny, Manny told his cat that he was going on a short vacation to the Dominican Republic. A taxi company called to inform him that the driver was waiting outside, but suddenly Manny's passport went missing. He frantically searched around his apartment but was startled to see John Carver's mask lying on the living room sofa. Manny immediately realized there was an intruder in the house. He grabbed a baseball bat and ordered the intruder to come out. But before he could fight back, the killer attacked him from below and killed him quickly. The killer arranged Manny's head on a dinner plate and took a photo of it. The next day, he marked Jess and her friends again in the horrific photo. The police acted quickly the next morning, but the phone that sent the photo couldn't be traced, and its location kept changing. Eventually, a physical clue led them to Cordage Park. Meanwhile, Jess had checked the CCTV cameras and printed several suspicious photos. She and Bobby went to the police station to meet Eric. Jess explained about some of the kids she knew, including Larry, the provocative young man who had instigated the riot and was the arch-enemy of Jess's school football team. Then, there was the photo of Ryan hugging Doug, which contradicted Ryan's statement that he didn't know Doug when the police interviewed him earlier. For that reason, Eric advised Jess and Bobby not to trust anyone at this point. Meanwhile, the masked killer is targeting Larry and his girlfriend. That afternoon, Larry's girlfriend invites him to play in the warehouse. Suddenly, the killer sneaks in and attacks Larry from behind, then kills his girlfriend. Due to this incident, the game is postponed. Eric tells Jess and Gabby to go home immediately and avoid being alone. Gabby finally asked Jess to wait inside the school while she looked for Evan. Not long after, they didn't go home immediately. Gabby took Evan to the changing room before they went home together. After waiting, Gabby suddenly sent a text message to Jess to meet her, but didn't explain where. Jess searched and found Gabby's phone lying in an empty bucket. From the reflection on the phone screen, Jess saw the masked killer behind her. Instantly, she ran as fast as she could to find a safe place, but the killer accurately guessed that Jess was hiding in the makeup room. When she saw him enter, Jess grabbed anything she could use as a weapon. She took a bottle of hairspray and diverted the killer's attention, then quickly ran out of the school building, where the police were patrolling. Eric tried to ask Jess about any specific details she remembered about the killer, but in her shocked state, Jess could only recall general features, such as the mask and costume he was wearing. Scuba, Yulia, Bobby, and Ryan arrived to accompany Jess home. Here, Bobby decided to confront Ryan about Doug. Ryan finally admitted that his relationship with Doug was merely to fulfill his need to buy drugs. This answer made Bobby unacceptable of Ryan's attitude, which belittled him, so they had a heated argument, but were quickly separated. That night, Scuba decided that they couldn't rely on the police to protect them, so he asked Jess to borrow an illegal gun belonging to McCarty, who was throwing a party. Scuba later told Yulia about this on the way home, as she was planning to go to Florida with her father that night. While the house was empty, Yulia's father had left it in the care of a police officer, but unbeknownst to them, the killer had already infiltrated the house and easily attacked the officer. Yulia's father found the officer lying on the ground and immediately called Yulia. The video call with Scuba was still connected. But as Yulia was about to end the call, the killer arrived and attacked Yulia. Scuba and Jess immediately screamed in panic as they saw Yulia about to be killed right before their eyes. Scuba immediately stepped on the gas pedal of the car, heading toward Yulia's house. Soon, when they arrived, the killer was holding Yulia and showing a live recording of Gabby and Evan being held captive somewhere. In the panic, Scuba didn't have time to release the safety on his gun, so Yulia was killed. Jess and Scuba were quickly taken to Jess's house, where the police advised Thomas's family to move out of town immediately. However, Jess refused. She argued that they had to save Gabby and Evan, so she suggested that the Thanksgiving parade should continue. Eric suggested they set a trap. When the parade cars returned to the warehouse later, they could make the warehouse appear empty and lure the killer into attacking. In short, Thomas agreed to the plan. The next day, the Thomas family and some residents prepared to participate in the Thanksgiving parade. Eric double-checked that his men were ready to monitor the checkpoints and reminded Thomas of their strategy. Jess felt very anxious as she looked around from the top of the parade truck, noticing many people wearing John Carver masks that day, including Mitch and his demonic followers. In the middle of the parade, they blocked the Thomas family's car to protest, but fortunately, this minor obstacle was quickly resolved. However, they were not prepared for the sudden attack that followed. The killer struck in the middle of the parade, slashing a participant dressed as a clown. Instantly, the crowd panicked and lost focus, resulting in innocent casualties. LaBelle rushed to take the Thomas family to safety in another car, but the killer followed them and threw a tranquilizer dart. Moments later, Kathleen realized she was in a warehouse, with the killer preparing her to be the main course for a lavish dinner in the kitchen. Quietly, Kathleen searches for a way to escape. When the killer is distracted, she hides and moves slowly toward the exit. The killer realizes Kathleen has escaped, but is certain she's still nearby. He grabs a garden fork and begins searching the area. Kathleen managed to sneak upstairs, where she found Larry's girlfriend's body in the refrigerator. Kathleen took the only bottle of drink inside and was shocked to see Larry's girlfriend still alive, but she held back from screaming and promised to return later. Larry's girlfriend's blood was flowing out of the refrigerator, making Kathleen's footprints clearly visible. Hearing the killer approaching, Kathleen prepares to hit him with the bottle, but the killer manages to outwit Kathleen. Kathleen rushes outside, but she is caught again and quickly dies a gruesome death. The chaos at the parade added to the commotion at the police station. Detective Chu received a signal from the killer's phone, which was live streaming from Cordage Park. The live stream showed Gabby, Evan, the Thomas family, Scuba, and a mysterious dinner spread. Seeing the oddity, Eric hurriedly gathered LaBelle and his team to head there. A few minutes later, they arrived at the parking lot in the middle of the buildings. LaBelle reported that the location was empty. Chu asked LaBelle to check for any underground tunnels in the area while they opened the Cordage Park tunnel map and deployed their forces. The SWAT team found an underground room matching the signal's location, but after breaking in, they only found another monitor showing a live broadcast. On the other side, the killer met his victims at the dining table, telling them to get ready to eat the main course. Thomas, Jess, Evan, and Gabby were shocked to see who was on the dinner plate. The killer had also brought Larry's girlfriend, prepared as the appetizer. The killer's voice had been filtered with a robotic sound, so no one knew who he was. He then chose Evan as his next victim. Surprisingly, many viewers enjoyed the broadcast, as the killer had stated that kindness was no longer valued for going viral. While the killer was monologuing, Jess touched the ring McCarty had given her before the parade. McCarty had said it was a keepsake from his father during the Iraq War. It turned out the ring was a secret weapon that could be turned into a knife. Quietly, Jess cut the ropes binding her hands. She passed the ring to Scuba beside her. After escaping, Scuba immediately attacked the killer and dodged the counterattack. Jess, who managed to get out, found that they were being held captive in John Carver's historical house, which was marked with yellow police tape. Jess quickly jumped over the fence and ran limping down the street. She saw Eric lying on the ground with wounds on his face. The street was very quiet, but Jess saw someone entering a warehouse. Jess took Eric's gun and followed the person. It turned out to be Bobby wearing a John Carver mask. Jess was so shocked that she couldn't shoot Bobby. Eric suddenly appeared and grabbed the gun from Jess's hand, telling her to wait outside. A few seconds later, gunshots were heard from inside. Eric then secured Jess, while Chu handed over the evidence, Bobby's cell phone, which was logged into John Carver's account. The police team was dispatched to search for Bobby, LaBelle, and Chu, then left for the hospital to check on the condition of the survivors, while Eric accompanied Jess to the office. Jess asked Eric to leave her alone for a moment so she could calm down before they left. However, when she looked down at Eric's shoes, she noticed remnants of plants stuck to them. Jess remembered Eric's message to remember the details, and those plants were around John Carver's house. Jess suddenly admitted she felt unwell. At first, Eric didn't notice Jess's unease, but at the door, he realized what Jess had seen. Eric finally revealed that he was the masked killer John Carver. He admitted to drugging Bobby and using him to deceive the police by dressing him in John Carver's costume. However, Bobby rebelled and attacked Eric with a tire iron, and at that moment, Jess appeared and mistakenly thought Bobby was the killer. Eric then revealed that he had a motive for his crimes. He was in love with Amanda, who was pregnant with Eric's child when she died in the RightMart tragedy. However, Jess was ready to take down Eric. She took Bobby's cell phone and turned on the live broadcast on John Carver's account. After Eric confessed everything, Jess showed the screen of the phone, which was still live. Eric flew into a rage and attacked Jess, but Bobby came to save her. Bobby rushed to bring Jess into the car, but Eric held them back. Jess made her final stand, shooting the gas canister near Eric, causing an enormous explosion that engulfed the entire warehouse in flames.